Okay. Let's do 3 ohms. Paramasukadam Kevalam Yanamurtim Dvandvatitam Ganganasadrisham Tattvamasya Dilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namamihi Narayanam Padmabhavam Vashishtam Shaktim Chatatputra Parasarancha Vyasam Sukham Gaurapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogendra Matasya Shisham Shri Shankaracharya Matasya Padmaha Padam Chahastam Lakancha Shisham Tam Totikam Bhartika Karamanyan Asmad Gurum Shantatam Anatoshmihi Vishwam Darpanadrishyam Anyanagari Tulyam Nijantargatam Pasyanatmani Mayaya Bhaihurivot Bhutam Yata Nidraya Yasakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Swatmanameva Dvayam Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om. How to gain freedom. How to gain freedom. Verse 44. Good topic. Tough topic. Difficult topic. First sentence. This is a hard one. We'll have to take some time on this one. To utilize the scripture properly, one should be committed to one's own dharma. We didn't usually swadharma. It's called swadharma. Swa means the self. Swadharma, the self. Dharma, the dharma. Dharma is a complicated word, complex word. It means variously. It means your duty. It means the rules and the laws operating in the dharma field. This is a dharma field. It's a lawful universe. It's composed of impersonal forces. psychological forces, physical forces, gravity, heat, all these are physical forces, psychological forces, and moral forces, values. It's a Dharma field. And Dharma also means your nature or your program. See, nobody creates themselves here. If you're a person, a human being seeking enlightenment, you didn't create yourself. You didn't make your body. You didn't make your mind, your emotions. You didn't make it. You didn't make the sun or the moon or the stars. You didn't make anything. Everything is given to you, including your psyche, the way you respond. Everyone's interested in, all the spiritual people at least, or most of them are interested in astrology or Enneagram or something, or palmistry or whatever. Because they want to know what their nature is. They want to know who they are on a relative plane. And that's what he's talking about here. That's Swadharma. Swadharma means what kind of person you are. What talents and proclivities and tendencies and so forth that make you unique, or apparently unique. What's only true about you is your Swadharma, your self-nature. And it says here that if you don't follow your nature, you can't utilize the scripture properly. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? Huh? It's another another qualification. Here, it means another thing to think about. You know, why would that be so? Well, there's two problems that are endemic to this question of Swadharma. And there's two things that indicate a lack of appreciation of your own nature. And the first one is doing the Dharma of other people. This is going to hurt. I'm sorry. Yeah, more. This is bad news for a lot of people. And what it means is not taking care of other people's stuff. Other people's stuff. Other people are meant to take care of their stuff. You're meant to take care of your stuff. In the spiritual world, I never met more healers. Huh? I never met more unhealed healers. Huh? Huh? These people are goofy in their heads, and they're out healing everybody. That shows a lack of Swadharma. They're assuming that they're qualified to fix you. That I'm going to help. These are the helping people. I know you're going to hate me for this. You're going to think I'm a cruel and heartless person. But we'll give you the logic. We'll explain to you why. You should not stick your nose in other people's business and try to fix other people and tell them what they need to know and help them. The rule about helping is this. If you're following your Dharma, the Dharma of what? A mumukshu. The dharma of a mumukshu is what? To follow his own. A mumukshu means a person seeking moksha, seeking freedom. So we have a certain dharma as inquirers. You know, but those of us who are in this room, we have a dharma. We have to follow the rules of inquiry. If you don't follow the rules of inquiry, you're not doing your dharma as an inquirer. You're not doing your duty as an inquirer. And the rule number one is that if you feel inclined to help somebody, you should get from them in writing a request, a written request. That request should be at least 3 copies. And they should have taken that request to the notary public and had it stamped. They should have paid to get it witnessed by another person that they really want you to fix them and help them. And then when you get it, you should read it and put it aside for 3 weeks or a month and not even consider it. And then dispassionately read it. And then think about it for another month or 2. And just out of hand reject it. Because it's none of your business what other people are doing, how to fix them, how to help them. Because why? See, we're not just saying don't do it, we're saying going to tell you why. Because if you're paying attention to other people's dharma, you're not taking care of your own, are you?
It can't be your dharma is to help others. Like it's a huge wave in Buddhism, you know, this Bodhisattva tradition.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. I put off my enlightenment till everybody else is enlightened.
Exactly.
Well, nobody else will get enlightened, I tell you. Because if you're unenlightened and you're helping other people to get enlightened, how enlightened are they going to get? This is all emotional, sentimental do-goodism. You're not looking after yourself. Swadharma means, I came here with this load of vasanas, with this conditioning. I've got to work out my stuff here. Now, we're not saying there aren't legitimate reasons to serve. And we'll talk about how to serve in a minute. But what we're talking about is this tendency to think that you're some sort of saint and you've been brought here to help everybody. I know, the Buddhists are going to hate this. But how, if I'm working on your dharma and your karma, how am I going to be taking care of my karma? All I'm going to do is get a vasana for what? Helping you. But I need a vasana what? For helping me. Because I've got a problem. If I'm trying to help you, I've got a problem. If somebody comes and there's a legitimate thing and they're actually suffering and there's some small thing you can do, then sure enough, do it. That's fair enough. That's just service. That's a normal, natural request. But we're talking about this tendency, right, to what? Go out and fix the world, change the world. That's the problem. And look, think about this carefully. When you're taking care of their karma and their dharma, you can't talk about karma without talking about dharma. When you're taking care of their karma and their dharma, they're not taking care of their dharma and their karma, so you're not actually helping them toward enlightenment at all. In fact, you're codependent and you're enabling them what? To not do their duty, not look after themselves.
12-step program is good for this.
What's that?
12-step program is good for this.
Yeah, the 12-steppers, they're all incredible do-gooders, aren't they?
No, actually the opposite.
The opposite? Well, I just got I've been carrying on a long email conversation with a guy who's really high up there in the 12-step thing, and he said that's the whole problem with it. And he's fed up with it. It's all going out. They say, oh, you're an alcoholic, you've got problems. Well, just go out and, help everybody else to get off the bottle. No? Well, I don't know. That's what I've seen too. I gave a big talk to the regional conference of AA people in Montana years ago, and that was basically their whole sadhana was go out and sponsor people, help them, get them off the bottle, and all that sort of thing.
I'm not in AA. I'm in Al-Anon, so that's different.
Well, I don't. Yeah, and what do you do? What do you do by doing that? You get the notion. You don't get rid of your dharma, do you? As an alcoholic, because after 20 years they haven't had a drink, and they stand up and they say, "What? My name is Jim. I'm an alcoholic." He's a dry drunk is all he is. He's not drinking, but he's got the mentality of an alcoholic. He hasn't taken care of his dharma as an alcoholic. He hasn't analyzed it, he hasn't looked at it, he hasn't gotten over it. That's what I told him. I said, you're not an alcoholic. You've got the identity now of an alcoholic. And that's exactly what happens with the do-gooders. They get an identity as a do-gooder. You don't get an identity as the self, do you? You think you're this person and you're fixing the world. The world is perfect. Everything here is what? It's a perfect machine. All the misery and all the joy and sorrow is absolutely perfect. Bhagawan, the macrocosmic mind, is what? Apportioning joy and sorrow according to the results of people's past actions. Why should you interfere? Trying to always what? See what I mean? So you're not helping yourself and you're not helping them. You're just perpetuating this Maya machine. That's all you're doing. If that's not your problem, okay, and maybe that nobody in this room that applies to. Here's another Swadharma problem. Now I bet everybody's got this one, or most people. It's wanting to be something that you're not. Wanting to be a better person. That's a lack of Swadharma. Living up to an ideal means what? I don't like myself as I am. I think I'm selfish. I think I'm vain. I think I'm greedy. I think I'm manipulative. And so I want to be what? Generous and kind and loving and straightforward. I want to be different. So I choose a role model. Like Buddha. For the men, it's usually Buddha. Women will be Mother Teresa or some saint. Want to be infinitely compassionate. And you try to be, as a jiva, as an individual, you try to be better or different from what you are. It means what? You've accepted this notion that there's something wrong with you, doesn't it? You don't examine the notion that there's something wrong with you at all, which is what Swadharma says. Swadharma says, look at why you believe there's something wrong with you and get rid of the notion that there's something wrong with you. If you can see that, if you can get rid of that, you don't have to become something different from what you are. In other words, Swadharma is loving yourself, warts and all. Knowing what? I can't be any other way, or I would be another way. However I am is what? The result of my past actions which have been given to me by Ishvara, and it can't be otherwise.
But Swadharma also means that my value system is aligned with who I am.
That's correct. My value system, absolutely.
So I have to align those.
Absolutely. I have to align my values with what? My true nature. Now we're just talking about the relative nature here. This is your real Swadharma. This is your true nature. that I'm what? Consciousness or awareness, that I'm whole and complete, that I'm already there. But how are you going to get to accept this if you can't accept yourself as a person? Huh? If you can't accept yourself as this, see, many people here, they're trying to get to here without dealing with this. Without taking care of their stuff. They just want to jump over it. They want to transcend it. They want to have some experience that will catapult them out of this and make them what? Separate them from this and stay up here in this wonderful, high, beautiful, blissful state of consciousness and not have to go back to that failure of a person that they think they are. Most of us in the spiritual world are outcasts and misfits and rebels. We honestly, we can't make it in the world, or we don't want to make it in the world. Huh? And the world is always judging us and telling us we're no good, criticizing us and so forth and so on. And we actually have a tendency to believe what the world is telling us about ourselves, that we are losers. Huh? Most people in the world think we're losers. Do you know that? Huh? That's how they think. They think we're a bunch of stupid losers. We can't cut the mustard. Huh? We can't hold down a job. We can't get the, we're useless for society. We're all whining and complaining about how bad the world is and we're not making a contribution. We drop out, we go to India, and we're trying to get enlightened. We're losers. And hey, we believe it. Part of us believes it. Part of us listens to that voice of our mom and our pop. Mom and pop are just the society speaking through, your closest relatives. Why don't you get a job, boy? I'm not good enough. So you want to be better. Everybody'd love to be like Ramana. Who wouldn't like to be like Ramana? Yeah, everybody wants to be, one or two doesn't want to be like Ramana. But everybody wants to be like Ramana. Well, if you want to be like Ramana, then you have to live like Ramana. That's all. Huh? You want to be like Ramana, live like Ramana. Ramana was an old-style Mahatma, and he lived the lifestyle of a Mahatma in those days, and that's why he was like that. You're not going to be like Ramana just by going to Tiruvannamalai and sitting in Virupaksha cave for a couple hours a day. And then when your visa runs out, going back home. Are you? Not going to happen. People will say, oh yeah, you look at the globe, because when you get back, to the States or wherever it is, Europe, you got a little glow left over from India. That in about 3 weeks or a month, that's all gone. Your holiness and your saintliness is all gone, and you're back to where you were when you bought your ticket for India 6 months before. You haven't changed. You stop trying to change. That's what Swadharma means. Look at yourself. Be honest. This is a fearless moral inventory, as they say in the AA. Huh? You have to take a fearless moral inventory. If I'm selfish, I'm selfish. I have to say I'm selfish and accept myself as a selfish person. Trying to not be selfish is not going to make me unselfish. Because I believe this judgment about myself, that I'm a selfish person. The way to this is through this. See, that's the point here. This is why we've taken such a long time on this. Don't try to jump over who you are. Don't try to run away from who you are. Don't try to transcend it or transform it. This is not transformation. This is not transcendence. This is acceptance through understanding, through being totally honest with who I am. It's this total integrity about who I am that's required here, what? For the scripture to work. From this commitment, okay, what do you get from this? From this commitment, purification of the mind follows. Instead of distracting myself trying to like change the mind, my mind becomes purified of what? All this desire to be different. To either have myself be different or have the world be different. Conceited people think they're okay. They think that something's wrong with the world. You know. Most of these do-gooders are conceited. They think they know better. And they're going to fix the world. And a lot of them are just angry people. I was, a few years ago, I was invited to go to Israel. And I ended up in the occupied territories outside of Jerusalem in a home run by a French nun who was, high up in the peace movement. And she had been given a bunch of money to go there and get the Israelis and the Palestinians to talk to each other. Good luck, huh? She was going to build bridges, on the local level. Going to get them all talking in this house. And it wasn't working, mind you. I ended up sleeping on the porch. One night I had to crawl in because the bullets were flying around. And we had a curfew for 24 hours, couldn't even go out of the house. I just went out to get some hummus, and these Israeli soldiers just came and told me, get the hell out of here, get in your house or we'll put you in jail. So anyway, she's running this house and it's not working. So she comes to me one day. I never said anything because I was writing a book and I was visiting a friend there. And I'd go up to Jerusalem every day. I could get through the checkpoints. And I wandered around and met these weird spiritual people. It's a weird place just like here. But you don't have non-dualists there. You got Christians and Muslims, Jews, and they've all got a different idea about God. So it's really fun to hang around there in Jerusalem. I mean, the weirdest people. I mean, my God. So I'm just writing my book. She's feeding me, and we just have little chats, just small talk about, the situation there. And one day she came to me and she said, "Could I speak to you?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" And she told me, she said, "This isn't working, and I don't know why I'm asking you, but can you maybe give me some insight into why this thing that I'm doing here isn't working?" And I said, "Well, I can, but I don't think you're going to like what you hear." And she said, "No, I'm sincere." She said, I really want to know, and I don't know why I want to talk to you. It seems like you're just from I don't know where. I'm like one of Jiminy Cricket. I just sort of hop in and appear there, and people can talk to me, and then I hop away, so they trust me. They think I'm independent. I am. I'm an independent person. I just listen and give and say what I say, and then I go. So they can see I don't have an agenda. So I said to her, "I'll tell you why it's not working. Because you have the wrong attitude. You think that the Israelis are bad guys and the Palestinians are good guys. And because of that, you're always angry. And that anger is queering the pitch. That anger is producing the problem. Because it's leaking out of you all the time and gets into everybody on both sides. And nobody's comfortable or happy with this situation." I said, "You're not really doing your dharma, your duty as a spiritual person, which is to be fair, to love both of these people equally, and treat them both with the same degree of respect." That's what a mediator is somebody who... Right. I recently had a problem with two sisters who were at each other's throats and had been living together for years and years and years. And I had to be absolutely impartial to help them get out of their problem. I couldn't take one person's side or the other person's side. Well, she was always taking the side of the Palestinians because she thought they were victims. Well, they were victims, but victimizers are victims too. People don't victimize other people unless they're victims. The victims are as much victimizers are as much victims as the victims are. Everybody's ignorant on both sides of the question. Nobody's right and nobody's wrong. And your idea as a helper, as a do-gooder, is what? To be fair and equal. And you're not. And that's why it's not working. She wasn't following her dharma as her stated dharma. She was a partisan. Because she wanted it to be different. She wanted those people to be huggy and kissy and warm and fuzzy and all get together and love each other. And they don't love each other. The fact is, they don't love each other. They've never loved each other, and they're never going to love each other. America can't figure that out. It keeps going down there trying to make them hug and kiss and all that stuff. And they're not doing it. Because they don't want to do it. They're more... they're more happy having an enemy than they are having a friend. So what can you do? What can you actually do? You can't do anything. So I was really surprised, I was going to leave the next day, and then she came to me, and she's standing in the doorway, and she had just looked different. And I said, "What's up?" And she said, "I'm leaving." I said, "Leaving?" "Yeah." She said, "I'm closing down the house and quitting." I said, "Well, what are you going to do?" She said, "I'm going back to the monastery in France and get myself together." She was going to actually do her dharma. Her dharma was a spiritual person. She was a nun. She should have been meditating on who she was and on the Christ or God or whatever, however they do it, and not interfering with what? With other people's dharma, with other people's karma, making a mess of it. Because she wasn't following Swadharma. Mother Teresa, there's an example. Did you read her writings? They published her writings after she died, and she was the most miserable person you can imagine. The church had a big fight, because some people said we shouldn't let the people know what she was really like. That she was a miserable, unhappy, frustrated woman. She had a couple of epiphanies that lasted for a few days, and that was it. And all the rest of the time, you know what she was still trying to do? She was trying to be like Christ and help people. She had this ideal that, imitatio Christi, that's their sadhana in the Christian church. It's called imitatio Christi. It means imitate the life of Christ. You live the life of Christ. And her idea of imitating the life of Christ was like doing good. But it wasn't her nature. Because I don't know what her nature was, but it wasn't that. Because after she died, they published her diaries. You can see this woman was in misery all the time. She had a couple of, a few days or maybe a week or two of happiness when she had some vision of Christ. And the rest of the time, she was this cranky old bat. And the people, that were working with her, I had met many of them who said she was just awful to be with. She was a taskmaster and a perfectionist and all this sort of thing. Because she wasn't doing what was natural to her. She picked up this idea that the world should be different and that she should be different. And anyway, I think you got the idea. It's one of my favorite topics, but it's such an important topic. Because what we're here, we want to understand who we are. Not just as a self, but as a relative person. If you haven't processed your stuff, if you haven't looked at yourself honestly and really, really taken a fearless moral inventory, how are you going to get to here? Even if you get some experience and get up here, you know what will happen? And I had this happen many times with my disciples. You know what happens? They get up here, they get established here, they forget to keep doing their small duty here, and one day Bhagavan creates a situation, right, that they can't handle, and they come crashing down, and they're totally surprised. But I thought I was the self. Yeah, but what about all that stuff that you didn't process from here? that you just left sit because you thought you were the self. So unless you clean up this stuff, even if you get up to here, you'll come crashing back down again.
So you have to keep tending it.
You have to keep tending your life. This is what Swadharma means. How do you do it? Well, with Karma Yoga. And we're going to get to that when we get to the Bhagavad Gita, right? With Karma Yoga and other ways, then you live. You have to live a certain lifestyle. Dharma Yoga. If you follow Dharma, your whole what? Your whole personality will be purified. Huh? You'll become purified because what? You're living according to a principle, not according to your passions. Not according to your fears and your desires. You're living according to a principle. Did you see that Swami that was here yesterday?
Yeah.
He's a sannyasi. If he's a Paka sannyasi. Paka means a perfect sannyasi. He's following sannyasi dharma. Actually, we're called Guru Bhai. We both had the same guru. That's why it was a really emotional meeting that we had. He said, "Oh, I heard Swamiji," meaning me, speaking. My guru is speaking through me. And we had now this person, he's following the dharma of a sannyasi. That has nothing to do with what he likes or doesn't like, what he wants or what he doesn't want. It has nothing to do with that. There's the rules, and he's living by those rules. And by following sannyasi dharma, what happens? He gets beautiful like that. You can see, you can feel his beauty, the purity, the humility, the bliss. You could see it in this person. He was pure, had a pure mind. He came out to talk to me afterwards. We had a great time. And you can feel the presence of this person there because he's following that dharma. His own dharma. In this case, his dharma is the dharma of a sannyasi because he's left the world. Now, as an inquirer, we've got certain dharma. There's certain rules. You got to follow the rules. And one of them is to what? Take care of yourself. Anyway, recognition of the self, and so what happens? You see the logic here in this? Then, if you follow your dharma, you get a pure mind, and then what? Recognition of the self takes place in a pure mind. Stop worrying about your enlightenment. Follow your dharma, do it right, your mind becomes pure, and then the recognition of the self happens. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to every day, God, why am I not getting self-realized? What's wrong here? I want it badly. I really want it. Huh? Meanwhile, there's all this stuff that's got to be taken care of, and you're not taking care of it. And you're wondering why it's not happening. See the logic here. And what happens? Recognition of self takes place and destroys ignorance and its effects. Then the knowledge of this destroys the ignorance and its effects. That's how you gain freedom. Not by sitting around waiting for some kind of experience. Grace. Hey, grace is earned. Grace is earned. Grace comes as a result of following Dharma. Grace is called punya karma. Punya karma means the karma that comes to you from following your Dharma and acting in harmony with the universal values that are operating in the field. If you do that, then grace is going to come. It's earned. Grace, it's not by accident. Believe me. You think grace is an accident. It's not an accident. It's earned as a result of what? Following your Dharma, following your Swadharma, living in harmony with the rules, the universal values that are operating in this system. And then what happens? Boom, like Ramana, you wake up. They say, oh, well, Ramana didn't do anything. He just laid down and pretended to die. I think I'll just lay down and pretend to die, and then I'll get enlightened. Huh? No. Ramana followed his Dharma in previous lives or whenever, whatever it was, and that's why that particular thing happened to him at that time. It's not an accident. And he continued to follow his Dharma once he realized who he was. That's why he was such a radiant and beautiful being. Now your Dharma can change as you work out things. Your Dharma, like for example, if you're an artist and you take a job in the meat packing factory just to pay the rent, how happy are you going to be? Huh? How happy are you going to be? You're not going to be happy. The answer is you're not going to be happy. If you're an artist, do art. If you have to sleep in the street, so what? Sleep in the street. Follow your nature. That way you'll what? Work out what you have to work out. You'll be happy because you're doing you're supposed to be doing, what your duty is here. And this duty is what is handed out to you by Ishvara, by the macrocosmic mind. Because the self wants to realize itself, and it's got to work through these problems. Okay, so after the break, how to discriminate the self and the not self. This is Mickey's question. We had that in questions and answers. And so take 10-15 minutes and we'll come back and we'll see how you do that. You know, Dharma is built in. It's just listening to your heart. They're that voice of what's right for you. And what's right, it's inside you all the time. Because the self is your Dharma, and it works through Dharma to teach you who you are. So the voice of Dharma is inside you all the time. It's like your conscience. Conscience has a kind of uncomfortable connotation. It's kind of like somebody's watching you, but somebody is watching you. Yourself is watching you all the time. And the self is speaking in you and through you and to you all the time. And it's just a matter of getting a quiet kind of mind that can hear that voice and honor that voice and serve that voice inside of you. That voice is trying to bless you. That's your heart, what they call your heart, following your heart. The self is every single thing is nothing but the self. So the imprint of the self is written in every heart. It's a hridaya, it's called the inner self. When you're too disturbed or confused, you can't hear it. So you're open to following dharmas that are not suitable for you, or violating the rules. In any case, the point is that if you don't do this, that was a really important talk that we just did. If you don't take care of yourself, you're never going to take care of your small self, and do what's right for you as a person, and work out and act out everything you need to do as a person. You'll never get to here. And if you do get to here, you'll fall back. You'll be very frustrated and unhappy. Once you get to here, you'll come right back. Because those vasanas will grab you again and pull you down. Your attention will go to that problem. Your attention will go off the self. Your knowledge will become shaky. You'll leave the self. You'll go back down into the samsara, and you'll have to work out your problem all over again. So it's just better to be committed to purifying yourself by following Dharma. And then when you get here, you won't come back. Many people, get awakened, get enlightened, and then they crash back. There was a interesting case. I actually published one of his satsangs on my website because it was just such pure spirituality. And he was quite a well-known guru in Europe. He had, quite a lot of people who were following him and listening to him. And then his wife left him. And when his wife left him, he became an absolute emotional disaster. He couldn't teach anymore, and he actually quit teaching and said, "I'm not enlightened." Huh? He was enlightened for all that time until his wife left him. And when his wife left him, he just couldn't cope. Because he never worked out that attachment. He just assumed that was, going to always be there and was going to support him. And when she walked away, that support was gone. And this should have been his support. If you're enlightened, this is your only support. Huh? Yourself is your only support. When that other support was kicked away, then he had to come back. Now he's back teaching again. Evidently got some therapy and got himself together, and that problem has gone away, and then he popped back up to here again. Everybody's eager to get enlightened, so that they'll love you and respect you and all of that stuff and listen to you. But forget it. Forget it. Just keep your head down, be humble, take care of business, do it in the right attitude, and you'll get to here. It will just unfold naturally, because that's what Bhagavan wants for you. Bhagavan means the self-operating Maya. Just be simple, be humble. Take care of your own dharma. Now, verse 45. How to discriminate the self and the not-self. We've already said what the not-self was and what the self is. Now we're going to tell how to discriminate it. And he's going to give you the logic. I've already touched on all this, but we're going to see it in the scripture now. You can count on the scripture. I may be bullshitting you. You don't know, because I'm a clever guy. Maybe I'm telling you stories. But if it says it here, you can count on it. I'm not bullshitting you, but you understand. Don't trust the teacher, trust the teaching. If the teacher's words are in harmony with the teaching, then you can trust the teacher. Because this is our guide here. So, freedom is separate. Freedom, this is what we want. Remember, this is where we came. We started with Kama, Artha, Dhamma, Moksha. The basic pursuits in reality are what? Security, pleasure, and virtue. Those three things people pursue. And the fourth is are those of us inquirers who want freedom. We want liberation. And what is freedom? Well, it's the nature of the self, but how are you going to get it? How are you going to do this? By what? Separating a limitless awareness from the objects appearing in it. That's what I've been saying, right? This is how you get it. Separating the limitless awareness, meaning me, I'm limitless awareness, from the objects appearing in it, and resolving all objects into the awareness with the knowledge I am awareness. In other words, not believing the idea that I'm not qualified, to use the example this morning. One gentleman said, I'm not qualified. How do I get qualified? Well, now that idea that I'm not qualified is what? An object, isn't it? It's an object. The idea I'm not qualified is an object. And how am I going to resolve that I'm not qualified? Resolve it means how am I going to get rid of this idea that I'm not qualified? I take a stand in awareness. I say I'm awareness. Now, does awareness have to get qualified? Nope. As awareness, you're totally qualified. You're qualified for everything. There's not one thing you can't do or experience or know as awareness. You're totally free. You're totally qualified as awareness. So what is discrimination? What is this separation? Always taking the point of view of awareness, not the point of view of the object. We remember, now I should repeat, what is an object? What is an object? An object, a simple definition, anything other than me. So, anything other than me is an object. And how do I and all my problems are what? Are centered around my relationship to objects, aren't they? All my problems are centered around my relationship with objects. So how do I get rid of those problems? I take a stand in awareness. Did you read that book by Greg Good called Standing as Awareness? Good book. Good book. It's what they call direct path. This is direct path teaching. Instead of taking a stand as the person who has the problems, I take a stand as the person who is free of the problems. Taking a stand means what? Whenever I have a problem with an object, there's many objects that you don't have a problem with. Like you don't have a problem with that tree over there. Doesn't mean anything to you at all. It's not a problem. It is an object, but I don't have any relationship to that tree at all. But my wife, my kids, my boss, my friends, my family, whatever it is, right? India, there's a problem. There's an object, India. You've always got a problem with India. You love it, you hate it, huh? That's an object. India is an object. India is nothing but an object in your awareness. It's just a thought. And that thought generates certain what? Either happiness or unhappiness, depending on what India seems to be doing at the moment. And how do I get rid of the India thought? How do I get rid of the India thought? I just look at it from the point of view of awareness, and then it resolves. Or in other words, I analyze it. Where is this thought? This is in me. Is this thought me? No. This thought, it can't be me. Why? Because it's known to me. Isn't it? See, this logic is so simple. If it's known to me, it's not me. So why am I worried about India? It has nothing to do with me at all. Who am I? I'm awareness. I'm the one that sees the problem. I'm the one that sees India. Why am I making a problem out of it? Because I'm ignorant of my nature. Good. Now he's going to start the discrimination. He's going to tell you why these things are not me. The physical body is made of food. It's sustained by food, dies without food, and seemingly covers awareness. It looks like I'm hidden inside this body, doesn't it? Isn't that how you feel sometimes? Like you're stuck in this body? But it says here, this body seemingly covers awareness. It doesn't actually, you're not actually hidden in this body, but it looks like it. It seems like I'm hidden in this body. And what is the body that I'm hidden in? The meat tube. This body is, as here's just a tube of meat. That's all. It's nothing but a meat tube. You put, food goes in and food goes out. That's all it is. Just a tube. In the other food, out comes the other end. That's it. This bag of skin, bone, and waste, and some of the texts, they really get into it. They really like catalog all of the icky, yui, ugly stuff that's in this body. Well, I won't even get into it because I'm a gentleman.
The gentleman who kills rats.
Gentleman who kills rats. We had good fortune on the rat story that the rat somehow decided that he didn't want to live with us and disappeared on his own, so I was not required to dispatch him to his next incarnation. You'll be happy to know. However, had the opportunity presented himself, I definitely would have sent him to his next incarnation.
Help him along.
That would have been a dharmic act in that situation. First we tried to catch him in a trap, that didn't work. We tried sticky feet, that didn't work. And then, he must have known he was up against an intractable foe because he took a powder and we didn't have to do anything untoward to him. Poor rat.
And if it brings next generation?
Yeah, then we got the next generation. Yeah, the problems here are intractable. They just never end. If you're here, you're just going to have problems day in and day out. That's all. Not just India, anywhere, isn't it? So how do I deal with them? Well, I just look at them from the point of view of awareness. That's all it's saying. That's all. It's taking a stand, and every time you do that, you build an I am awareness vasana. Every time you come down and assert your divinity, assert your wholeness and completeness, you get stronger in that knowledge. You can count on that knowledge because it's true to the object. Object being awareness. The thought I'm awareness is true to the object of awareness. And what is awareness? It's whole and complete, non-dual, ordinary, actionless, ever-present. And there was another word, unconcerned awareness. That's a good one. That's a good adjective for awareness. Unconcerned awareness. So, if you're going to chant anything, chant that mantra. Chant it means what? Think about it consciously in every situation. Am I this or am I the problem? Am I the guy that's got the problem, or am I the one that knows of the problem? It doesn't mean you don't act in the world and function in the world to solve problems. It means you just know who you are when you're acting in this world. And you do it in what? A dispassionate way. Because awareness is just total dispassion. The word Bhagawan is the one who has all the qualities, and one of the qualities of Bhagawan, means the self-operating Maya, is pure dispassion. Bhagawan is totally dispassionate. How cool is that? So I look at it from that point of view, over and over and over again. Now, why isn't the physical body the self? Okay? Why isn't it? The physical body is an object of perception. Isn't it? Your physical body is perceived by you. So what? Can't be me. It's an inert assemblage. Not only is it perceived, but it's inert. This table's inert. This chair's inert. Inert means it doesn't have any life in it. Now this is a hard one, because we think the body's such an amazing instrument. It's so conscious, it's so intelligent, it's doing all these things. But this one says here what? This text here says it's an inert assemblage. Assemblage means it's a whole bunch of parts that have been cobbled together, put together. And it's just like a machine that doesn't know anything. It's like an automobile. It's a whole bunch of parts put together and it doesn't know anything. Why does it look like it knows something? Because awareness is what? Pervading every atom. That's why. It looks like it's conscious because awareness is what? Pervading every atom of this body, and so it seems to be alive and conscious, but it's not alive and conscious. It's just me. Only. Huh? Huh? Hey, that's a tough one to accept, isn't it? Huh? That's a hard one. This is just you're a sausage. You're a Wurst. Yeah, a big German Wurst. That's W-U-R-S-T.
Yes. That's right.
It's a hot dog in America. That's all. Nothing more. And what? It doesn't. Now look at this. It doesn't exist before birth and after death. It is non-existent at one point, it is existent at another point, and then it's non-existent at a third point. So how can that be me? How can that be real? Real means what? What's always present. What never not exists. Awareness is just your existence. Now, existence doesn't come into existence. Existence doesn't begin, and existence doesn't end. Isness or existence is always present, and it never began, and it never ends. There is no such thing as non-existence. Because awareness, what? Is unborn. Ajataha, the scripture says, awareness is unborn. So it has no beginning, and if it has no beginning, it hasn't got an end. The body has a beginning, and the body has an end, so that can't be me. You're going to see this logic applies to the other bodies as well. Here's some more information about the body to think about. It gains new attributes every moment, making its nature uncertain. What is it if 1 minute it's this and the next minute it's that? Huh? I eat a hamburger and now it's not the same body, is it? Huh? It's got new attributes. Huh? And don't they say that how many years is it all of the cells are replaced or something in the body? Huh? Every 7 years. You have completely different cells after 7 years that you had 7 years before. Okay, so what is the body then? What is it? You can't tell what it is because it's what? In a state of constant flux. It's getting older all the time, isn't it? It's taking on new things and it's giving off old things. How real is that? Can that be me? Do I change? No, I don't change. I see the body change. Now I'm 70 years old. And I remember observing this body. I mean, the first real memory I had was I was sitting in a high chair with a spoon, banging a spoon on the high chair, and I saw my mother come running in the room. And then I knew I had control of that woman. I was this bad little baby, and I went bang, 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 and then mother comes running. Huh? And then later on, I was like playing baseball as a boy. So then I wasn't sitting in the high chair, I was what? I was playing baseball and riding my bicycle. I had my baseball cap on. And then I was a businessman. I had a chain of businesses and a factory and an import company. I jetted around, making loads of money. I was taking home bags of money. I was fat, sometimes slim. I was always on a diet. Get down to normal, balloon up, eat a lot of steaks, up and down. I never did know who I was. I'd look at my body one day and I'd think, oh God, disgusting. And then 6 months later, I'd look at it and say, you look pretty good. And then I'm a middle-aged guy. I live in the woods out in Montana. I go fishing every day. Like that. Got some gray hair coming in my beard. And then what? Now what? 70 years old, teaching Vedanta. This is a different body. And in another 10 years, if I live that long, the body's going to be different. But what about me? I'm the same person, the same being that was there watching the baby body, that's watching the boy's body, that's watching the young man's body, that's watching the middle-aged body, that's watching the old man's body, that what? So is my body real? No, my body is not real. I'm real. I endure. I don't come into being when my body comes into being. I don't disappear when my body disappears. How many people think they die? You guys are too smart. You're too good. Yeah, actually, everybody has had that thought that I'm going to die, isn't it? But there's no evidence that you die, is there? There's evidence that the body, that says here the body dies. But where's the evidence that you die? It's purely a belief. If you say I die, then I'm going to ask you, how do you know that you die? Because if you die, you can't know that you die, can you? You have to be there to see your non-existence, don't you? To say I die, you'd have to be there to say I don't exist anymore. You can observe the non-existence of the body, but you can't observe what? The non-existence of the I. Because the I never non-exists. The I is always what? Present. It's permanent. It's unchanging. This is how we resolve what the body thought into awareness. This is just, this is the logic that you have to apply daily or however, whenever this thought comes up. Whenever the body thought comes up, then you think through this. This is the logic you use. This is inquiry. Just, if you got a problem, memorize this. And when you start finding anxiety associated with your body, and your mind gets agitated, then you take this logic up and think about it, and what will happen? Your mind will calm down. You'll say, oh, that's silly. Why am I getting all upset about something that's totally unreal? Why am I making a problem here? See? That's why we need to give you the logic. We're not just telling you it's like this or like that. We're telling you why. It's beautiful, isn't it? I mean, that they give you these reasons. And you can't argue with these reasons. You can't. This is just what? Experience. How can you argue with this? Making its nature uncertain. You can't really tell what it is. How can it be the self which knows its modifications? Right. We said that. Over and over we say that. Now, the next level. This is called the five koshas teaching. Five sheaths teaching. Now the next level, this is the grossest level. It's called Anandamaya kosha. That's the physical body. Now we're going to move up to here. See this, the physiological systems? That's called pranamaya kosha. So this physical body we've determined can't be me. Now we're talking here about the pranamaya kosha, sheath of the pranas. It says the prana, endowed with 5 organs of action, pervades the physical body and is called the pranamaya kosha because it seemingly hides the self, limitless awareness. How does it seemingly, again, the physical body seemingly hides the self, now the pranamaya kosha seemingly hides the self. How does it hide it? Well, when you say I'm hungry, that's one of the pranas. Prana, panam, vyana, samana, udana. These are physiological systems: hunger, thirst, circulation, excretion, and the power to eject the soul at the time of death. It's called udana. It's a prana. Somehow the self has got to eject the subtle body from the physical body, and it has a power to do that at the time of death. It's called udana. But we don't need to worry about that. That's a little technical. When you say, I am hungry, what has happened? What has happened? The idea that I am the pranamaya kosha has obscured the nature of the self from me. It's hidden the self from me. Why? Because the eye's never hungry, is it? You see, think about it. You see how deep? Can you see how deep this ignorance is? How thoroughly ingrained in our thinking this is? I am thirsty. There's another one. Now you can say I'm thirsty, but what? When you say I am thirsty, you don't want to get precious here. When you're doing discrimination, Jim's pranamaya kosha is thirsty. Hey, I am thirsty. What? I can say that if I know that the I is never thirsty, that the thirst belongs to the pranamaya kosha, to this level of existence, to this level of experience. All I have to do is know that the I is not thirsty. But when you say I'm thirsty, and you believe that the I is thirsty, then you've got a problem. Then you don't know who you are. You see how the ignorance is just everywhere. It's at every level of experience and existence, there's this ignorance, this maya, right? Confusing the self with what? Confusing the I with what? The not self. The self with the not self. Just going on all the time. It cannot, again, the same logic, it cannot be the self because it's a modification of the air element. It's this kosha, this sheath here, is a modification of this element called air. Air has this power to move things. It's the breath. This pranamaya kosha is a link between the physical body and the subtle body. This is why pranayama works to quiet the mind. In yoga, they figured out that if you can control the prana, then you can control the mind. When you shut down the pranas, then the mind gets to shut down. So it's a link here between the physical body and the subtle body. It's called the pranamaya kosha. That's where hunger and thirst and all these physiological feelings and sensations occur in this body here. It's a modification of the element. It goes in and out of the body. The breath, the prana, it goes out and it comes in, doesn't it? How's that going on? How's that happening? How is that? Why is it going in and out like that? Who's doing that?
God.
Yeah, God. The self-operating Maya is causing it to go in and out. Well, if it's going in and out, is that me? Is that the self? No. The breath, in other words, the breath is not the self. Is it? All the other pranas come off the respiration, the air. It divides up, the big prana, the air prana, divides up into these other functions when it gets in the body and causes the circulation, excretion, all of these other physiological functions come as a result of this prana. Right? The life force, you could call it, the vital sheath, as Aurobindo talked about it, the vital, I don't know, has anybody read Aurobindo's teachings? No, yeah, one or two. One or two. Aurobindo's a thing of the past now. Nobody reads Aurobindo anymore. But that was called the vital sheath. So, and what? It isn't sentient. Sentient means it doesn't know anything. And I know something, don't I? I know what's going on. So the I is sentient. Huh? So this is not sentient, and what? And it's always dependent. Prana depends upon the element air. Take away the prana and you die. Take away the air and what? Your goose is cooked. So that can't be the self. Prana Maya Kosha. Okay, now the Manomaya Kosha. What is it that makes up the Manomaya Kosha? The organs of perception and the mind make up the Manomaya Kosha. The organs of perception and the mind. Huh? Now here it means the subtle body. So the organ, and they make up the Manomaya Kosha. It pervades the Pranamaya Kosha. In other words, it's subtler than this. We're gradually getting more and more subtle now. So at this sheath, the Manomaya Kosha right here, right? It pervades the Pranamaya Kosha and is very powerful in that what does it do? It projects the seeming duality of I and mine. This is where your projection comes from, the Manomaya Kosha, the I and mine. You believe that, huh? That I means what? I means not you. Means I'm different from you, and that some things belong to me. Does anybody have the notion that you own certain things? My children, my job, my money, my house, my whatever. If you have that notion is coming from the Manomaya Kosha. That's not coming from you. It's coming from Manomaya Kosha. It's very powerful. This is where the problems are coming, in the mental level and the mind. It projects the seeming. This is really subtle, isn't it? I mean, look at this. Have you ever seen it broken down like this in the spiritual teaching? You haven't. Only Vedanta does this. Really gets into it. Really digs into it here. Looking at every aspect, every level of experience here, and telling what belongs to each level of experience. And obviously the conclusion is what? None of it belongs to the self. That's the conclusion we're going to get to. And now what can this thing do? It can differentiate names and attributes. It's a subtle body, mind. It's a kind of subtle body, and it can distinguish names and attributes. So this is allowing you to what? Identify certain things. It's reflected awareness, but it has this power to what? Distinguish names, one thing from another, and attributes. Heat, cold, pleasure, pain, joy, sorrow, all of the attributes, all of the qualities that are appearing in the field of existence, the mind can like discriminate that what? As distinguish that as the intellect. Here Mahamaya includes the intellect in this particular verse. And what? It can't be the self because it changes, it begins and it ends. When does the mind end? You go to sleep. Huh? So it can't be the self. Self doesn't change, so it can't be the self, the mind. It begins and ends. It is by nature sorrowful. Oh. This is where your sorrow comes from. Huh? It's from the Mahamaya Kosha. I'm happy, I'm sad. Now, I'm happy means Mahamaya Kosha, but isn't your experience that you're more sad in general than you are happy? Yeah. Mostly you're dissatisfied. Huh? Mostly you're dissatisfied. It means you're sad. That's because you're identified with this Mahamaya Kosha. The sadness is not coming from you. The I is never sad. But the sadness and the sorrow is coming from here, from the Mahamaya Kosha. Doesn't belong to you. And what? It's also an object of perception. Means what? You know when you're happy and sad, don't you? Is your sadness known? Is my sadness known to me? Yes, it is. My sadness is known to me. Therefore what? Can't be the self. So don't be saying you're sad anymore. Huh? And watch yourself. If you say I'm unhappy, correct yourself on the spot. This is how you do it. This is how you kill it. Because it's just a notion that you're happy or you're sad. You're neither happy nor sad. You're the knower of the happiness and you're the knower of the sadness. So don't say I'm happy or I'm sad. So you're just going to have to watch yourself all the time because the ignorance is out to get you. It's just constantly at work trying to delude you, trying to get you to like identify with one of these sheaths. So I've got to be vigilant. This whole sadhana of inquiry means intense vigilance, constantly keeping my attention here, right? Watching what I'm thinking and feeling, and what? Flicking off these thoughts that the I is what? Happy or sad, or hungry or thirsty, or fat or lean, or whatever it is. The body thoughts, the prana thoughts, and the emotional thoughts. These are emotions, happy and sad. The Mahamaya Kosha is the emotional sheath. The I's not angry. You never get angry. This sheath causes anger to happen. Huh? You don't just generate emotions on your own consciously. You don't do that. The sheaths generate the emotions. The I is always free of emotion. So if you say I'm feeling confused, well, there you'd be identified with the intellect or the mind. Because the I is never confused. The I is the knower of the confusion. It's very simple. This is so simple. But when you try to practice it, it's not simple. It's like hard as hell. Huh? But before you start to practice, you better know what's what. Then the rest of it's just how bad you want it. How bad you want enlightenment. How bad you want freedom. If you want it bad, I know it happened to me. I wanted it so bad. I would have rather died. Honestly, I'd rather died than live here ignorant anymore. When I was about 27, I thought, I'd rather die. I'm going to crack the code. I've got to crack the code because I can't stand this anymore. This suffering driving me crazy. So then if you want it bad, you'll just do the work. We're not saying this is easy. You know, the Neo guys, they'll get a 500, Gangaji will get 400 people. But Gangaji will never tell you how hard it is. I don't think. That's why 400 people are there, because they're all looking for some sort of magic or something. This is hard work. It's good work. And anyway, what else are you going to do? Just keep believing what your mind tells you? Huh? You can do that. It's up to you. I mean, you know, there's no coercion here. It's just, what's the alternative? Just listening to what this ignorance and like believing in this ignorance. It's giving you reasons why you don't have to believe it. But actually, I've got to do the work now once I understand. Now the next sheath is called what? Intellect. The intellect, the buddhi, with its thought modifications and the organs of perception, that's this one plus the organs of perception. I think we will do the chart tomorrow, the other chart I told you about. It fits right into here. So we'll unfold that teaching tomorrow. We'll really break this down. And now we're just giving you a kind of a introduction. But tomorrow we'll really expand it all out. You guys got time. You're here for a couple months or whatever. You got time. So we'll do it. So the intellect with its thought modifications and the organs of perception make up the Vijnanamaya Kosha. It causes samsara and a sense of doership. What is samsara? Samsara is the what? Is just a concept that what? Change in time is real. Samsara means what's never the same from one moment to the next. And what? The intellect causes this belief that everything's changing. And what? Also, a sense of doership. That's where the doer's coming from. The doer's coming from this sheath here. How are those two related, the doer to change? Well, the doer is always trying to change something, isn't it? Because what? Well, the change that's taking place in his mind is not satisfactory to him or her. So he's always trying to change things to what? Get a mind that's acceptable to him or her. This doer. Isn't that why you're changing? Trying to change everything? Because the thoughts that you're having now are not suitable. They don't make you happy. Huh? The thoughts that I'm thinking now are not making me happy. They're making me unhappy. So I want to change. So I become a doer that's dedicated to what? Changing my mind. See the problem with that? Oh my God. You're not in control of the mind. The macrocosmic vasanas are in control of the mind. And here this doer is trying to control the mind. Change everything. That's called samsara. The physical world is not samsara. Samsara is a state of mind that comes from this sheath. The physical world out here, you could say India's real heavy samsara. Well, India is just what? 5 elements. And a bunch of people, jivas running around. The samsara is in my mind. That's where there's no samsara in India. The samsara is in my mind. Because there's people here in this world that just think India is wonderful. There's no samsara for them. Is it? So only samsara. So samsara is simply a concept in the intellect. And because I believe that everything's changing, and that I'm a doer, and that I can affect some change on my own, I get stuck in what? In this whole notion of doing and changing. Always, isn't that right? Don't you always want something to be more, better, different? Huh? Yeah. You always want to be richer. You always want to be better looking. Huh? You always want more love or better love or different love. Huh? Isn't it? No matter what, you're never satisfied. You're always like interested in changing everything. Well, that's where this notion comes from. The emotional stuff comes from this sheath, and the intellectual stuff comes from this sheath. Both of them are what? Now, what is this? Okay, here we are. This is good stuff now. Sorry I'm running over. But I'm running over the time. But we got no time because it's all awareness, right? So nobody's hungry and wants to go to... Huh? The self doesn't eat anyway because it's not the body. So you don't have to worry about food, do you? You get your soul food and then you can go eat. Now look at this. Hey, this is cool. I love this. Verse 53. It illumines objects because it reflects awareness. Woo! Remember we said this is the reflected self. I think I'm thinking, but what? I think I'm conscious and thinking, but what is it? No. Awareness is just bouncing off the intellect, and what? Objects are seen or known. The intellect's the knower. It can't see of its own. You don't know by yourself. The intellect doesn't know by itself. This sheath is just inert, but it's reflective. And what? Awareness bounces off of here, and then the thoughts and the feelings and the objects are known. How cool is that? Jeez, I love that. Huh? Now, what is it? It is a modified form of ignorance. Whoa! Whew. Not good. Huh? It's a because you think I know. That's why it's ignorant. It thinks I know, doesn't it? You think I know this, I know that. Don't tell me I know what I'm talking about here. I'm the guru. I know what I'm talking about. And no, you don't, Ramji. Huh? Awareness is illumining what? The intellect sheath. That's all. And this dumb idea that I know something's coming out of my mouth, only because awareness is blessing me, right? Blessing that thought, and making it come alive, making it become real. It's a modified form of ignorance that functions as an organ of knowledge. So the eye doesn't know anything. The eye just what? Gives you the light so the intellect can know. You are supplying the light to the intellect so it can know. But the eye is not a knower. Getting more and more tricky now, isn't it? Getting more and more subtle. As we get closer to the source here, it's getting more and more and more tricky to understand ourselves, to make this discrimination. It's a modified form of ignorance. It functions as an organ of knowledge and action, knowing and doing. It illumines objects means objects can be known. Because it's bouncing awareness, then objects are known. And what? And it's an organ of action. I'm doing. Why is it ignorant? Because why does it do? It's ignorant because it does thinking that the results of its actions will make it happy. Isn't that why you do things? To get the result of your actions. Speaking to you as a doer now, we're not talking about you as the awareness, we're talking about you as a doer. Why does the doer do things? To get the results of the action. And that's ignorant. Why? Because the results of the action will never fulfill you, will they? Because they're in time. And you're already fulfilled as the self. You're already full. But you don't know it, so you're trying to what? Fill yourself up with the results that are what? Acceptable to you and make you, what you think will make you happy, but that's ignorance. Those things won't make you happy, because if they would make you happy, you'd be happy now, because all your whole life is nothing but a whole bunch of results that you've got as a result of your past actions. But still you're looking for the self. So how happy are you as a result of getting what you want? You're not happy at all. See why it's ignorance? And it thinks the body and the sense organs is the eye. It's ignorant. This is another reason it's ignorance. It takes the body and the sense organs to be the eye. That all belongs to this sheath here. Oh, and the nature of this sheath, the Vijnanamaya Kosha, cannot be determined because it's a modified form of ignorance. What is ignorance? Can you determine what ignorance is?
Absence of knowledge.
Yeah. Can the absence of something be determined? No, the absence of knowledge is not a thing that has qualities that you can determine it. Is it?
It's not an object.
It's not an object. Huh? It's a modified form of ignorance. It is the locus of the eye sense. That means the location of the eye sense. This is where your sense of eye comes from. And is the jiva the one that thinks it acts? Why do they say it thinks it acts? Because it doesn't act. What is causing action? We're going to get this when we get in the Gita. It's called the Karaka's teaching. But I'll just give you a preview of it. What is causing the action? All of the factors in the field are producing action. The jiva is not producing the action. The jiva is actually the self under the spell of ignorance, thinking it's a what? Identifying with the intellect sheath, it thinks it does and it thinks it acts. But actually what? The gunas, the macrocosmic mind, manipulates all the factors in the field, and that's what produces action. So you're not doing anything. That's why you're not the doer. Huh? We'll unfold that teaching later when we get to Bhagavad Gita. It goes into it in quite a lot of detail. What are the factors that produce action? You think you're doing, but you're not doing. You're being done by what? By the gunas. The vasanas. Not just your own program, but Ishvara's program. Now here we go. Because the impressions of previous actions are ingrained, this is your vasanas, and here on the chart actually they've got the V's, the vasanas in the subtle body, in the Vijnanamaya Kosha. They put them here in this text. I've got them here for another reason. Because the impressions are ingrained, it performs good and bad actions and enjoys the results. It moves through higher and lower bodies, above and below. Higher and lower bodies means what? Lower bodies means the animals and the insects and through that realm, and the demons and so forth, and then the gods. These are devas and so forth. This is a whole other area that I don't want to get into. It'll excite the woo-woo factor. And everyone will start going, ooh, 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 this is so cool. There's a city inside the mountain. Did you hear? Ramana said there's a city inside the mountain. That's what I call the woo-woo factor. And this teaching here, there is a woo-woo business, but we're not going to get into the woo-woo business. Please, spare me. Anyway, this intellect is operating in beings without physical bodies. From it come joy and sorrow and the three states of experience. The three states of experience don't belong to the self, they belong to this kosha. It cannot be the self because it changes, borrows its light from awareness. It's dependent on awareness, so it's not standing alone. It's never free. Is limited, an object of perception, is inconsistent. Your thoughts are totally inconsistent and contradictory. One minute you say this about yourself, and the next minute you say that about yourself. One minute you say I'm this, and the next minute you say I'm that. You contradict yourself 24 all the time. That's this sheath here. And it's conditioned by time. It means your thoughts are constantly changing. The Annamaya... Okay, now we're getting up here to the final one. The Anandamaya kosha is a modification born of tamas. We're going to go through this again tomorrow. We're going to expand it out a little more. Get a little more detail. The Anandamaya kosha is a modification born of tamas, pervaded by reflected three reflected degrees of experiential bliss, and arises out of awareness with the gain of a desirable object. I think we'll wait. It's going to take time on this one. Now we're getting up to real, Now we're getting into the real subtle part, the most subtle part of the whole not self. And we'll just better take our time. I'm trying to rush it here, and it's not good. So tomorrow we'll pick up at 57, and then I'll bring the other chart in, and we'll relate it to the three gunas and the five elements and the perceptive and all the organs. Will show how it's all tied up together. Okay.